So, I'm pretty sure the UK, Europe, most of the Western world has pretty much lost their minds, right? Like, we've pretty much forgotten all of history. We've lost our common sense completely. And a good example of this is in the UK and Britain. According to some of their terror watchdogs, they're not going to be seeking prosecution or anything like that against a lot of the ISIS fighters that are returning to the UK. And of this, there's like hundreds of them. And the only people that they prosecuted are people that they could definitely prove did a crime, and everybody else just gets off scot free. And it's like these people went to a war zone. It's pretty hard to prove that they did or didn't kill somebody, right? I'm sure a lot of them did kill people, and you just can't prove it, right? Or they just lied and said they didn't. But this is insanity, right? Like when at any point in history in human civilization did a group think it was okay to fight an opposing force that's literally butchering you guys, cutting off heads of women, doing all this crazy shit, and then you think it's a good idea to bring them back in your society and just let them live and shit and be like, oh no, it's they wanted to butcher us. They wanted to do all this. They wanted to blow up all these innocent people and children and women, and they did do all this stuff. But hey, let's give them a chance. Maybe maybe they'll be okay and they'll contribute to society. And it's like, even if they don't do any terrorist attacks, these people are just going to be a burden on your fucking welfare system and all this shit anyways. Or they're gonna fucking go rape people left, right, and center. Like there's already been how many cases of a girl? There was a girl just recently that was raped by like 3 different guys in the span of an hour, and these weren't all like white dudes. They were Muslims. And then there was a case a couple months ago where another girl was raped by 2 different people in the span of an hour. Right? That's insane. That's insane. That didn't happen before. It's happening more now. Now you're bringing people who are even worse back in your country. Like, that's so fucking insane. And I found an article from a couple months ago, and it was talking about a lot of young British Muslims. It was I believe, Monday, April 17th. But it was, they're asking they did a poll with a bunch of young British Muslims and asked them about like ISIS fighters returning. And the majority of them were like, we should reintegrate them into society. And it gave a bunch of like bullshit excuses as to why they joined and all this shit. And it's like, clearly the UK government is listening to these people. They're not listening to the average citizens. They're listening to these voices of these groups of Muslims in your country, and they're taking their advice. And that's just plain fucking stupid, because obviously these people are not objective on the ISIS fighters. Like, you insult ISIS and you get a bunch of Muslims that are mad. They're like, why are you insulting ISIS? You're insulting my religion. It's like, so what do you admit that your religion is very similar to what ISIS is doing and you condone it? It's like, what the fuck? But I took down some examples of what they were saying. They said Muslims might become radicalized and travel to fight. This is some of the people explaining what they think or whatever. They're like, Muslims might become radicalized and travel to fight for ISIS, ranging from boredom to issues with lack of identity and concerns over foreign policy. So, okay. If people are watching these videos online, they're going to be radicalized because ISIS are using the internet to shout out to them that we Muslims are being oppressed, one 16-year-old said. So it's true that, like, yes, people are using this whole oppression thing to build up support and whatnot, but honestly, you're obviously way less oppressed in Western countries than you would be if you go back to Muslim countries where ISIS are butchering Muslims left, right, and fucking center. So, and they think, like, and this is, I don't like how they're like, oh, you're watching these videos, this is what's radicalizing you. It's like, no, it's your religion which radicalizes you. If they didn't believe in Islam, see, I don't believe in Islam. So I watch these videos, I don't get radicalized, right? Because I don't have that basis of that belief system. And then another 15-year-old warned, a lot of my friends are on Facebook, and a lot of them are watching stuff online that are extreme. So this is just setting up the context of banning shit on the internet and censoring the internet, which Theresa May wants to do, which a lot of governments want to do already. So this is an excuse. Instead of blaming Islam, instead of blaming a belief system, they're going to blame everything but that. The internet, this, and that. And then one said they want some excitement in their lives and they're pushing the boundaries, while another suggested what we are seeing really is just some frustrated teenagers who are looking for an escape. Like, really, you're going to go, like, everybody knows they can't say they're ignorant to the fact that ISIS are butchering, they kill people left, right, and center, and they're butchers. So you can't say you're ignorant to that fact and you're looking for excitement. If that's your idea of excitement, you're insane. You're fucking insane if you can just brush it off like that. What does that say about your ideology or the way you think yourself to say, oh, they're looking for excitement? Like, are you fucking insane? And some said, well, actually, what do you expect? They're isolated, they're angry, they don't have a sense of identity, he said. Interviewers told him ISIS puts out messages of unity and brotherhood, blah, 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 blah. It's attractive to people. And it's like, you see how it's always everybody else's fault. It's always, it's the British people's fault because you don't put them in enough movies, you're racist, you look at them funny. It's your fault. Nothing to do with ISIS. It's all your fault. So if you just treat these ISIS members better, they won't be so mean. They won't cut off heads. And then one 16-year-old interview told him, some of these people don't have anywhere where they believe is, so they think, yes, let's jump to these guys because they are bringing me to the global brotherhood. It's like, so they want to be a part of a brotherhood. That's no excuse. That's still not an excuse to go and try to butcher people, innocent people. You should be prosecuted to the fullest extent. And then for me, it's all about foreign policy. A 16-year-old interviewer said, I actually know some of the boys that went from here and there, and they're always talking about the problems in Palestine and the fact our government never helps them. So they're doing terrorism because you don't help Palestine. This nonsense bullshit, right? It's everybody else's fault. And then for me, it's okay. And then Dr. Iwan said a lot of them kept saying they were watching YouTube clips of Syrians being murdered and killed. ISIS tends to play on these types of angers. So once again, it's YouTube's fault. It's the internet's fault. Censor, censor, censor. You know, this is what is going to come from this. This is what they're trying to lead for, right? They're leading into this, right? And it's like little subtle things, you know, they're mentioning like, oh, it's this, it's that, it's this. You could just prevent a lot of these attacks in UK and all this by just reducing the amount of people that believe in this ideology, which is Islam, right? Just have less of them in your country and you'll have less terrorist attacks. That's just the basic reality. I'm sorry to say, it's just the truth. And, you know, this is Dr. Awan. So this is a guy in the UK, and so obviously the UK government is going to this guy for advice. And they're taking his advice on how to deal with the people that are coming back into the country. So he hoped the study would encourage the government and police to re-engage with young British Muslims to understand their concerns. So, you know, it's once again, like I was saying, it's never their fault. It's always the people in Western countries' fault. You can never do anything right whenever these terrorist attacks happen. It's because of your foreign policy. It's because of this. It's because of that. Excluding the fact that the majority of Muslim attacks happen in Muslim countries. So, or like, you know, if there's an attack in like the Philippines and shit like that, you're like, oh, because Western imperialism. It's like, what? Doesn't make any sense. So, you know, and I'm not discounting also the fact that, yes, some foreign policy can exacerbate it and make it worse and to some extent. But at the same time, you can't take away people's agency, and they have a choice to follow these crazy fucking extreme interpretations of Islam, because the majority of them are not doing that. The majority of them are not going to ISIS. So why are we putting them on a different standard, right? The majority of Muslims are not joining them. So that lets you know that, you know, it's them, right? It's not us. It's them. So blame Islam, blame these people, and I, I do not know what the UK is thinking, and I know Canada's probably doing the same thing with Trudeau, because obviously he's going to, but it boggles my mind. It's like they're. I don't want to say there's going to be an attack. I'm not trying to drive up fear, but like, to my, in my estimation, my opinion, it's only a matter of time, and then we're gonna find out that there's one of these people, and then what's gonna happen? Probably nothing, right? Or they're just going to move on censoring the internet more, be like, oh, he's radicalized because of YouTube. Gotta ban this, ban this. It's like they had a chance to ban a lot of these videos for years, but they focused on conservatives saying things against Muslims. But, and then they allow all these pedophile videos or jihadist videos on YouTube and Twitter and all these accounts pushing this, but they focus on conservatives because they're the bigger issue. It's not Muslim terrorism that is the issue in the world. It's white supremacists. They're the issue, which makes no fucking sense. But, hopefully the UK is okay, nothing does happen, and these people do reintegrate into society. Like, that's, I hope, I sincerely hope that is the way it works. But that's all I pretty much had to say. Like my content, subscribe, and have a great day.